Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Chant A Psalm A. How is everyone doing today? We are here on this blessed Sunday. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for being here, everybody. This is the day that righteousness has made. We're going to rejoice in this day. I got a beautiful tea pot. So I put my hot water and my tea bag and everything in there. Yes. And it says, one thorn of experience is worth a full wilderness of warning. That's my tea. I love the butterflies on it. And I poured it into my cup. Here you go. Oh my goodness, it's delicious. It is delicious. It has lemon. Oh, I just feel it going through my whole body. This is beautiful. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Chant A Psalm A. We are here today on Sunday. This is the 13th of the month, and oh my goodness, there's so much to unpack today. So much. And in that unpacking, I have something to share because it is. Hi, Bookmark. How are you? So it's beautiful to be able to come on this platform. Thank you, YouTube, for having this platform because I get to come live and chat with you all. Good. I'm glad you're good. Bookmark. And, we have our lives, we have our relationships, we have the people that we interact with and love and everything. And it's good to be able to do that, Um, even though, I started doing this chant a psalm, in like, oh my goodness, I don't look at my channel. Just like, thank you for liking this video. Thank you so much. Hi, Olan89. Thank you for liking this video. Everybody that comes on here for a quick second, like the video real fast. Just like it. Hit that like button. So we come together every day or early in the rise. And you see, I just lit my candle for my son and my dad. I'm going to send some of these to my mom. I'm putting a box together for her. So I have some of those candles to send for her as she is grieving my dad and my son. My oldest son passed away. If you subscribe to this channel and you have listened to me, you will know that happened. So I'm thankful though that I can be here to share. This tea is so good, and it helps, your stomach, this area. We have our physical beings are important, and maintaining our physical being helps us as we get, older. So thank you so much for liking this video. Hi, greetings from Minnesota. How are you, Kev5 Aqua? Thank you so much for joining from Minnesota. We are looking at the Psalm today, and you all have to keep me on track. So like this video, please subscribe to this channel, as the YouTubers say. I forget to say those things because thank you. Thanks so much. Yes, I am the hostess with this channel, and we are looking at the word in the scriptures. So if you don't subscribe to the scriptures of the Bible, hi Mystic, how are you? Thank you so much for joining. Like this video. If you don't like it, keep it to yourself. Okay. But well, I look at how the scriptures relate to my life and how I can stay in that space of, goodness, because that's what it is. It's goodness, it's mercy, it's that compassion, it's that love, it's that kindness. I love it. I want to marinate in that. When I lay down and I close my eyes, that's what I want to see, the goodness, and kindness, and remembering that, through my day, as you are reflecting. So I look at the scriptures and I look at the psalm. This is called Chant A Psalm. So we look at the psalm, and Steel Pulse has a song called Chant A Psalm, and I want to give respect to where respect is due, and respect is due to this group Steel Pulse and their music. This song is from their album True Democracy. I believe it's in 1978. Um, Hi, Jalea Lee. Thank you so much for joining. When you're talking about words, we want to be careful how you type, words in. So Steel Pulse, I give, that props to, because they have a song called Chant A Psalm. And Hi, Mystic Celt. um, so let's get into it. Let's leave some comments. How do you feel like you belong? Do you feel like you belong? That's the word of the day, belong. So that's the question of the day. Do you feel like you belong? So we'll go through that question as we chant the psalm. And the psalm is, Blessed are the forgiven. So the next question is, have you forgiven yourself? Have you forgiven yourself? Have you forgiven yourself? That's the question also. Do you feel like you belong, and have you forgiven yourself? Because blessed are the forgiven. You have to forgive, and the first person you forgive is yourself, so that you can, then go ahead and forgive others. So I had to forgive myself, because I can't be in two places at one time. Blessed greetings, Nubian Queen. Blessed peace and blessings to you, Nubian Queen. I love that name. I use the word tranquility, but you want to use peace. I know that intention behind that word peace is that calm tranquility. So thank you for liking this video. So the psalm is blessed are the forgiven, and that's Psalm 32. So we look at the psalm, we look at the word belong. The word belong is being brought to you today by John, the book of John 17, 20 to 21. So, and then we have the verse of the day. And the verse of the day is coming from Jeremiah 29, verse 11. So we have a lot to unpack. So let's get started, shall we? Take your scriptures out and have your tea or your coffee or whatever you drink in here to relax you and get you listening to my voice. You can look away from the camera and just listen to my voice as I translate the psalm today. I ask that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart is acceptable in the sight of what is righteous, what is goodness, what is kindness, what is humility, what is integrity, what is honesty, what is long suffering, what is forgiveness, what is grace, what is redemption, what is eternal love, all of that. Thank you, Key 5 Aqua, for your kind words. And I am thankful that I can have an inspirational channel that can be inspiring. and your feedback with that couldn't happen without you joining in and showing this platform, showing YouTube that there can be inspirational communication and discourse, not discord, but discourse. We have different languages, we have different backgrounds, different people coming together, and they're coming together in the commonality of kindness, simple lovingness, you know. And I'm glad for that. It's a powerful feeling to have. We have that's why I think people jump from relation to relation or from partners to partners, and they're have multiple people that because they haven't found that within themselves, and they're seeking for that on outside of themselves. So once you found that, um you're able to accept your body, you're able to accept how you look, you're able to accept that that you're a man, you're whatever you are, you're able to accept it, you're accepting of it, you're loving it, you're embracing it, and you get to the point where you want to share it with someone that you trust and that you're committed to, and you make that commitment, and you share each other's beings, each other's space, each other's time, each other's efforts. So I love that people can come together like that and share that love with each other, and in their physical beings appreciate that they were created for for their beings to be pleasure, to feel pleasure, and to be not feeling harm or hurt. Your bodies, your physical bodies, your physical beings were meant to feel good. People use food for that. I am an example. I had a turkey burger. I wanted I wanted to feel good. So I went off in the path of eating that. Some people go off in the path of actually going with someone else and being intimate with someone else. They, and husbands do it, wives do, people do it that in relationships. So um when you're not strong enough, that can happen, and especially when you're at your weakest points. That happened to me. I went to a friend's house and was crying. My dad passed away, and they were consoling me and started touching on me, and it's like, what, wait, what do you do, wait a minute, and this is what happens. So you are targeted when you're at your weakest. And I could have just let the person do what they wanted with me and just be, and I was like, no, my being is a temple. It's a temple for the goodness and mercy of righteousness and kindness and compassion. And I don't want that to be just with anyone. So we look at the psalm today, and we see the word and the psalm go hand in hand. The psalm is Psalm 32, and Psalm 32, blessed are the forgiven, and the word is belong. You belong. You belong. And sometimes people feel depressed where they feel they don't belong. And anyone coming around them that makes them feel like that they belong, they attach to. And sometimes the person they attach to is not good for them. Maybe for that moment, but not for a longevity and a sustaining, relationship. And when we just meet someone, it can be fun and nice and all that in the beginning, but you have to have that foundation And that foundation is that friendship, is that, communication and that honesty. And when a husband and wife, when the husband has to go talk to another woman about his wife, it becomes a triangle. You're creating that triangle of bringing someone else into your bedroom, or bringing someone else into your, home or your relationship. And the 10 commandment talks about that. So that's why I'm a proponent of forgiveness, because people you know make mistakes. People make mistakes, and people should be forgiven just as they should forgive someone for hurting them. How can you expect God to forgive you when you haven't forgiven someone? It's like it doesn't work. You have to embody that forgiveness, and you have to serve that forgiveness. You can't just be, oh, I'm sorry, and then you do it again. You got to serve that forgiveness. That forgiveness has to be served. Greetings of love and tranquility with great gratitude for the Most High daily. El Su is in the house. Thank you so much for joining, El Su. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for your kind words and for your willingness to participate in the miracle oil. I'm calling it miracle oil. The miracle healing oil for pain, for for external use, for your skin, for it's just golden. Okay, this is liquid gold. So thank you for that. Thank you, Elsu, for participating in that. So we see, the word of the day and the psalm of the day go hand in hand. So let's get into it, shall we? We can start now. So blessed are the forgiven. Verse 1 begins with, blessed is the one whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered, right? And we have an advocate, right? In the Christian, faith, we look at the one advocate, that's Jesus, that, bore our sins, and died for, when I heard that story, it hurt my heart. It just made me want to study the scriptures and study the road of this path of goodness. Okay. Thank you so much, Elsu. And I'm thankful that I get to be part of this family of, future forgiveness, that I forgive in advance because people are not perfect. People make mistakes. People do things out of depression or emotion or despair and anxiety. People do things out of those places. So I've learned to do things out of places of forgiveness, places of love, places of kindness, places of compassion, places of, beauty. I'm on the Eastern Shore. I'm looking out the window, and it's, the sun is shining, coming up. There's trees all around me. I have the wildlife of the geese and the hawks that fly above. Left me a hawk feather. I talk about this hawk feather all the time. And this hawk feather was left for me. So I'm surrounded, and I'm reminded all the time that, I'm okay. I, made a choice. And I made a choice to be alone for the time being, to sacrifice something for something greater, and that something greater is happening in my life. It's like happening to me. And I'm thankful for it, because it almost brings tears of joy to my eyes, because my dad isn't here to physically see with a body, with his eyes, to see what I'm accomplishing. And it makes me sad, but yet it gives me strength to know that I have to keep going because of my dad, because of my son, because of my ancestors, all of them who came before me and who sacrificed for me as I'm doing for the next generation to come. So I am glad that we can gather in this space, and thank you for liking this video. So verse 1 is, blessed is the one whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Transgression and sin are the same thing. Blessed is the one against whom, righteousness counts no wrongness, and in whose righteousness there is no deceit. So in your goodness and in your kindness and mercy, you are honest. You're honest in those spaces. You are honest with yourself, and you are honest with the people in your life. Because righteousness is righteousness, and righteousness knows no wrongness. So it's gonna retract. In other words, any wrongness coming around is gonna get casted out. It's gonna be removed, in other words. So when you are alone, it's because that's the season for you to build yourself for your future. I told someone that today. You're building, they were like, I've been single all this time. You're building for your future wife. You're building for your future husband, your future person. So hang on, hang on to the goodness of the Lord, hang on to the righteousness of the Creator, of the Most High. That is long suffering, because when we say we follow Jesus, but then we don't wait, we are going after the lust of the flesh or the lust of the eyes, as one of the if you go to my channel yesterday, we talked about that, the lust of the eyes, and the basically that's representing the world and things of the world, and they're falling away. These things, these lust of the eyes and the flesh, they're falling away. And even though people are getting people are having to answer to their fleshly desires that may be nefarious, and it may be desires that include multiple people, it does not represent the true, pure, sacred goodness and righteousness that is of the oneness of being yoked in a oneness with a one. Okay, out of one there's many, but you as a being have to have that one being that you are in relation with. Because when we look at it, it's called fornication, right? It's called, you're fornicating with this one and that one and the other. So that's where marriage comes in. That's where that commitment comes in, that you are committed to a person for the rest of your life. And this is, what you're going to do when there's, adversity in that space. You're going to communicate. You've built that friendship. Look, bro, you call each other bro. That's how the friendship is supposed to be. So within that, you're able to tackle anything that comes. And the righteousness is not going to count wrongness. Those wrongness that you did, they're not going to be counted, because you're blessed. Blessed is the one who is forgiven. That one is blessed to move on and to put that behind and live Why be chained and enslaved to a past mistake? You got to move on. You may not move on with the person that you made the mistake with. You may be moving on with someone else, or, in something else, whatever the case may be. But moving on is essential. That is the forgiving. That's the forgiveness. You can't forget, but because of our advocate we have, that's righteousness, we can forgive and we are forgiven. So, and because of that, we have to be thankful, because we have to open our mouths and be thankful, because when we keep silent, our bones are wasted away, according to verse 3. All the groaning all day long in verse 4 talks about day and night, your hand, this heaviness was on me because you haven't forgiven the person, you haven't let it go. This heaviness weighs on you. There's a strength that was dried up, as described as the heat of summer, right? The heat of summer dries things up, and it's compared to your strength being, you have no strength anymore. You're just done. And Selah is in verse 4. So in verse 5, what do you have to do? You have to acknowledge your wrongness to righteousness. Talk to righteousness. Say, righteousness, I did wrong. This is what I did. I ate that turkey burger. I want to eat healthier. I don't want to eat to feed my flesh, but I want to feed my life, my future life. I'm eating for my future life, so I don't, I'm not incapacitated by the poison I've been putting in my body. So we want to eat right for our future, right? Thank you, Elsu and Nubian Queen. Yes. Yes, my little tea set I have, it sits like this. Okay, it sits in here like that. And I love it. So my son broke my ceramic teapot where I plug in and, heat the water up. But this one I can take with me here and have it. So when stuff breaks or things happen, we can't cry over it. We have to look at it as, there's going to be a new day. I'm going to have a new teacup set that's even prettier because it's got butterflies. So I had to long suffer and wait for my teapot, my little tea set here. So, and I have it now. So this is little examples, right? And in those acknowledgments in verse 5, you acknowledge, your wrongness, and you didn't cover up your inequity. I said, I will confess my transgressions to righteousness and forgive the inequity of sin. Okay, because that's what inequity, transgression is. It's sin. So we have to, when we talk about confession, we have to communicate, right? Isn't confession communicate? And people don't like to communicate. They don't want to hurt your feelings, or they don't want to tell you the truth, because then you have information that you can make a decision that they may not want you to make. So they may not tell you the truth. So communication, is important. We have to confess. There was a husband and a wife, and the husband cheated, and the wife asked the husband, where did you meet this person? And the husband didn't want to say. You got to tell, you got to confess, you got to communicate. This is what happened, because that's where forgiveness, hold on. That's where forgiveness happens. What? Who is out there barking? Stop it. Look who I found. Stop it. Stop. Mr. Barker. Um, yeah, this one sees a dog, hears a dog. I'm gonna take him out after this, but so we look at acknowledging and communication. Okay, now this is where some people fall short, and I think it's with it's maturity and its age. It's also how we raise children and how we socialize children and how we interact with children and how we teach children by our examples. And our examples may not be communicative examples, like we don't communicate. So the child never sees how that works or what that looks like or how it's important, to talk to people. So, with that being said, we have in Psalm 32, verse 5, this acknowledging. Acknowledging and confessing is about communication, is talking. And it ends with Selah. So verse 5 ends with Selah. Verse 4 ends with Selah. Verse 6 is telling us now, therefore, let everyone that is good, right, offer communication. Like speak to God, communicate to righteousness, talk to compassion, talk to forgiveness, talk to grace, talk to long suffering. If you're in that space, of long suffering, talk to long suffering. Say, look, I'm suffering long, walking every day to work. Everybody else is driving. Talk to long suffering. But don't go out there and go hurt somebody's car because you're upset you don't have one, or go hurt somebody's relationship because you're upset you don't have one. Don't do bad things. That's what's verse 6. Therefore, let everyone that is good offer communication to these attributes, to God, that is love, at a time when that can be found, when you know about it. Love, the right thing to do, act on that right thing to do while it can be found. Because people are going to be walking around here, doing the wrong things, zombie-like, apocalyptic kind of craziness, because it's going to go haywire before it becomes righteousness covering the earth as the water cover the sea. There's gonna have to be before that, just like the birth pains of a woman before the beauty of this little infant comes out. There's this pain, this stretching, this hurting, this all of this before you get the prize. So you have to go through long suffering. You can't go hurting people because you're hurt. You can't go destroying people because you feel destroyed. You belong. You belong here. You got a purpose here. Okay? So in verse 6, everyone that is good is going to be communicating, because they know they're going to do it now at a time when it can be found, because this is the time. People are getting saved. People are changing their life. People, are looking to God. They're, getting baptized in the name of Jesus. All kinds of stuff. People are coming to the fold. They're leaving behind all these worldly desires of sleeping around with people, going from boom, boom, boom to this person, that person, and settling with their person. People are coming into that now, and getting married before God, and living in equally yoked with each other. Yeah, we both gonna kneel down beside our bed and say a prayer. We can say it separately, quietly to each, but we're both doing it before we go into the bed. You might go into the bed before me. I might go in after you, but that's what we do before we get in that bed. That bed is sacred. And that's what we're going to make it and keep it, So verse 6 is talking about that, because there's a rush of great waters, and these rush of great waters shall not reach that one who is good, who is being loyal and faithful and kind, right? And honest. It's not going to reach that one. So I'm on the eastern shore and I'm thinking this hurricane is going to come up. The eastern shore is going to, what's going to happen? Look at the sun shining out there. It's beautiful today. So my heart goes out to those in the path of this storm, that they may know that the long suffering, they may still give thanks within that space, because that is the space of God. Long suffering. God been there. Jesus done been, suffered for people sins, but people still sinning, and that's what's written. People gonna still do what they want. They're gonna still do what they want to do, even though they saw him die, buried, crucified, and raise up again. What do you think happened when Moses parted the sea and all that particular story? That to show you that folks out there, they can still see that happen. They saw that happen, but they still complain afterward. We don't got this. We don't got that. Still complained. So these signs that we're seeing in the world today, verse 7 is taught. There's a hiding place for the righteous. That righteousness is that space that you occupy. That is that hiding safe space. You stay in your safe space, right? And you're going to be preserved from trouble. You're going to be surrounded with shouts of deliverance. Selah. People are going to be, you may be at church today and there's shouts of deliverance going on around you. You're preserved from trouble. You're insulated in the space of, omnipresent righteousness, like sacred, goodness, where you see folks with sandals on their feet, heels on the ground kind of stuff. So in verse 8, there's instruction. Okay, yesterday we had a verse that talked about, I think it was Proverbs. Yeah, Proverbs was talking about you listen to the instruction, the teaching of your father and your mother, Thank you for liking this video, you guys. Mwah. And yesterday it talked about that. Today now we're looking at it again in this higher love way, where that righteousness, that sacred, omnipresent goodness is of the Most High, is instructing and teaching in the way that you should go. But sometimes we don't want to listen. Okay? I told my son, take out something the night before. I told him yesterday, take out, because he eats chicken, right? I said, take the chicken out, season it up, put it in the refrigerator, so today you can just pop it in the oven, right? He didn't do that. He fell asleep. He didn't do it. So when instruction and teaching goes out the window and you don't listen, you're going to pay that price. You have to. So it's important in verse 8 that you're instructed by righteousness. Righteousness will instruct and teach in the way to go and will counsel. So instruct, teach, counsel. Righteousness is going to have righteousness's eyes upon you. Okay. And verse 9 now, don't be like a horse. So remember I said, I had to tell my son this, he didn't listen. And sometimes you have to, this is what verse 9 says, because some people are like that. Be like a horse or a mule without any standing firm in anything, that they must be now curbed with bit and bridle, And that bit and bridle is holding your hand and walking you through the way. You know, my dad told me a long time ago, he said, "What do you want me to hold your hand?" You have to be the one to make that step. You have to be the one to make that step. You know, don't be like a horse or mule without standing firm in anything that you got to be, you know, curbed with a bit and bridle, or you're not going to stay near, you know, to righteousness. You're going to go off into wrongness. And this is what people do. Husband and wife. Wife and husband, whatever the relationship is. They act like a horse or mule without standing firm in their relationship. They got to be curbed now with a bit and bridle, or they're not going to stay near. The next person they get with, they is going to be protective because they now, you know, was the other person. So they like, oh, you might be going after somebody else next if you went after me and left this person. You know what I mean? So it's this cycle. And it's all about not standing firm in righteousness and doing the right thing. Doing the right thing is communicating. We saw it in verse 5. Acknowledging, confessing, and, you know, communicating. So when you do that, you're going to hear the instruction because you've communicated this. You've talked about it. This is what you've did. And when people don't do that, they hold these things on them like baggage that weighs them down, hurts their physical being. They got to take medication. They're depressed. They go into anxiety. They got to take medication. It's just, I'm glad, I'm thankful I don't even have to take an aspirin. If I have a headache, I rub the bottom of my feet, right here on the bottom of my feet, and I use my oil, the miracle oil, and the smell of it gives your headache to dissipate. It disappears. It's calming. So the instruction we are listening to in verse 8, that instruction and that teaching and that counseling is on you. So receive it. Speak the words. I receive it. I receive the instruction of righteousness. I receive the teaching of compassion. I receive the counseling of, you know, compassion. I receive all of the grace. I receive this. I'm not going to be like a horse or mule without understanding, without standing firm, that must be curbed with a bit and bridle, or I'm going to, you know, go off into wrongness. You know, no, because what is over there in the wrongness is sorrow. Sorrow is over there. So verse 10 talks about that. Verse 10 is like, many are the sorrows of the wicked. Okay, it's many, because many are called, okay, but few now, just two, are chosen. Thank you, Elsu, for receiving the good. You're chosen because you received it. You spoke it now into existence to be received. I receive the good. I receive all that is of the Most High, that it is showering of bliss. Not ignorance is bliss, but showering of bliss. Because many are the sorrows of the wicked. Steadfast love surrounds the one that trusts in righteousness, that trusts in compassion, that trusts in long suffering, that this is going to be okay, that trusts and keep the works going. That's faith. You're moving this engine onward. And what happens now? in that steadfast love, that you're staying in that space, you're going to be surrounded with the trust. You're not going to be looking behind your back. What is they doing? Who is they talking to? What is this one talking? Oh, she's talking to her ex. Oh, she's going to go see her. Oh, she's going back to her ex. All this. You're not going to be in that space. You're going to be in a space of steadfast love. That's a surety. That is obviousness. That's just nature. That's your natural rights. That's your life. And happiness is within. It's within. Happiness is within. So receive it. Live it. Be about it. Share it. Share your happiness. Don't share your sadness only with those that you trust, because they can use that sadness against you. My stomach is just growling there, y'all. I love my teapot. This steadfast love is surrounding the one that trusts in righteousness. So when you say, oh, you want to be loved, you miss being loved, you're loved. But you have to receive it. Don't think it's coming from the outside with somebody. It's coming from you. You have to know that it's there. You have to know, and I am happy. I'm happy, and you find things that stimulate that happiness. Let it be walking in the botanical garden. I've always wanted to do that with someone I love, and we're looking at the flowers and holding hands. But people think that's weird. Like, what? So I would rather do that. And we have to trust in that righteousness, because in verse 11, be glad in it. Be glad in righteousness. Be glad to do good. Be glad to love. Be glad to be kind. Be glad to be honest. Be glad to communicate. Be glad to forgive. Be glad. So be glad in righteousness and rejoice, O righteous, and shout for joy, all the upright in heart! Exclamation mark. End of verse 11. Psalm 32. I love it. Anytime you're feeling a way, listen to Psalm 32. Listen to it. I didn't take anything out. I didn't add anything in. I basically uplifted it to where it's supposed to be in its truth and righteousness of the word. Because blessed are the forgiven. And this is a maskil of David. We celebrate the Ethiopian Maskell. The Maskell was September 27th. And September 27th is the Maskell. And this Psalm 32 is a Maskell of David. Blessed are the forgiven. My son passed away at the age of 32. He was 32. That's it. He was 32. I love it too, Nubian Queen. Yes. Thank you for sharing your affection with this Psalm 32. Blessed are the forgiven. We have to go to this and we have to know, each of these stanzas by heart so we can memorize this one. Memorize Psalm 32. Because verse 10, many are the sorrows of the wicked. It's not judging who's wicked. It's telling you this is what the wicked is going to be: sorrowful. Okay, but steadfast love surrounds the one who trusts in righteousness. And that one, as the word today, belong, we're going to shift into the word today, belong. It's that righteous being. You are a righteous being, and we all belong to that righteous being, to that righteousness, to that the heart of righteousness, right? The heart of righteousness. That's another shirt that I think I want to have done, the heart of righteousness. So we are righteous beings. We all belong in the heart of righteousness. So the word today, belong, you belong. Okay, thank you so much for liking this video. Oh my goodness. Mwah. Thank you for liking this video so much. Because as I get into this word now, belong, I go to the question I asked in the beginning of this. Do you feel like you belong? And where do you feel you belong? Right? That was the question. And the other question was about forgiving. Have you forgiven yourself in order to forgive someone else? Have you gone through the process of forgiving yourself? So those are the two questions, and you can answer it when you feel like it in the comments. But the word today, belong, is brought to you today by John 17, verse 20 to 21. And belong, it starts off as a true sense of belonging is one of the best feelings in the world. When you have a true sense that you belong somewhere. This is how I feel when I'm teaching at the university or teaching in a classroom, period. Whether it's infants, toddlers, preschoolers, whatever classroom it is, from infants all the way to college students or adult, teaching an adult how to read. And I'm volunteering to teach adults how to read. That's one of my service. So because I love reading and I love books, I want to share that with others who may not know how to read and may want to learn how to improve their reading. And it's nothing a shame about it, to be an adult and don't know how to read a sentence. And there's some adults out there who are like that. They don't know how to read a sentence. So the word belong, not being able to read may not make you feel like you belong in the world or you don't belong. But the true sense of belonging is one of the best feelings in the world. So when you do have that sense of belonging, it's a good feeling. And I'm telling you, I experience this feeling every time I'm in my classroom, every time I'm teaching, every time I'm in a library, helping a student. Yes, the Most High is forgiving as we shall be as well. Exactly. And I feel like I belong in these spaces. When I'm on the beach, I feel like I belong in the water. I belong out there swimming in the ocean with the fish, So it's knowing that you're at home, fully accepted just as you are, and valued for your unique contributions. So this is an important piece because I feel at home. Where do you feel at home is what you want to ask yourself. And that's where the question of where do you belong and do you feel you belong comes from. Do you feel fully accepted wherever you are? So thank you so much for liking this video and for watching this video. We are on the word belong. That's the word today. Do you feel like you belong? So you want to feel valued and you want to feel fully accepted. When I go to the beach and I'm swimming with the fish and the turtles and the sharks and the dolphins, I feel like I belong there. I feel I'm valued in that space. The turtle comes up, the stingray comes over my foot and kisses me on my toes. I feel valued there. when I'm in the public library or academic library, any library with books, I feel I belong there. I love the books. I just want to lay there with the books. That's just a feeling, right? And when I'm in the classroom teaching with students, this is the feeling I get of belonging. So today, I celebrate my belonging as a divine being, a child of righteousness, a child of the Most High. No matter my situation in life, no matter, the pain of loss and the gain of knowledge, right? No matter the situation in life or my personal history, my past, I talk about it on this channel all the time. Some people say, stop talking about your business. But I'm very transparent and authentic. People stalk my channel to see, like, is she in Texas? Where is she today? Where they stalk to see where I'm at. But anyway, I celebrate that, my belonging as a divine being. I may not belong in your space. I may not belong in your place. I was told I'm not welcome at somebody's home and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I may not belong there, but guess what? I celebrate today my belonging as a divine being, a child of righteousness, a child of God, a child of Jah, a child of the Most Highly. Okay? I celebrate that today, no matter the situation in my life right now, or my personal past history, or my particular circumstances, right? I am a valued member of the human family. So are you. I told someone that in a text this morning. We're human. We're going to want to, our physical beings are going to want to be intimate with a person that we want to commit to. We're human. So when I see this, it's the truth. You got to value yourself as part of this human family. Respecting other humans. If you don't want to be with that human, you're going to tell that person, look, let's see other people. I'm going to go over here for a minute. Let's see other people, tell the person so then they can make that decision. But people don't do that because they want the person to stay right there while they go play. I don't play with little girls. I'm a grown woman and I deal with grown women and I do grown woman stuff. So the word belong, I extend this understanding or this standing firm in righteousness. You're standing firm in your goodness to all others. Okay. I look beyond appearances. It don't matter how dark your skin is, how light your skin is, how short you are. Maybe you're my little elf. How tall you are. It doesn't matter. I look beyond it. I even had a person I was with tell me, you always pick up people that in this negative way. And it's like, what are you talking about? I look at people's hearts. I look at their kindness. And that's what I look at. I look beyond their appearances and even my own preconceived notions, to see my fellow divine beings. Okay? And I have to do that. Hey, Chawa. Thanks for joining. We're about looking at the word belong, and the question is, how do you feel you belong? And where do you feel you belong? And have you forgiven yourself? So that's our question today. So you think about that and answer as you can. Thank you for liking this video. Mwah, mwah, mwah. For everyone who liked this video, your shouts of blessing pouring on you, that your days ahead may be filled with joy, that your days ahead may be filled with abundance of goodness. You may receive an abundance of goodness, all that is there for you. Don't let it pass away and sail down into the river. So what is for you is for you. Even the river can't take it. You got to be the one to go after it. You got to be the one to work in righteousness to get it. Don't go work in wrongness to get it. You can't go doing wrong to people and think you're going to come out good. Okay? So I extend this to everybody. I look beyond appearances and even my own preconceived notions to see my fellow divine beings. I honor their unique gifts just as I would want them to honor mine. Thank you, Chawa. Bless you. We belong together as human beings. We belong to one another. We all belong in the family of righteousness and goodness and mercy. That's why when you see the world creating divisions, they're dividing the Democrats and the Republicans and the independents and the this and the that. They want you to pick a side. Please pick the side of righteousness. Pick the side of God, of Lord, of Jesus, of Rastafari, Selassie the First, Buddha, Mohammed. How you pick the side that is higher love than what is happening in this world, people. You want to be safe on the other side. You don't want to go to the other side and it's destruction and sorrow because of wickedness, wrongness, people defaming pictures or text messages of a dead person, taking out the name because they're jealous, doing evil things, leaving voicemails on people's phones, cursing them, these are not good things. And the sorrow that is amounting for folks that do these things is surmountable. So the word today belong, because we belong in the same human family. Why are you attacking me? We're women, we're Black women to that. Why attack me? So I ask in John 17, verse 20 to 21, I ask not only on behalf of these, but also on behalf of those who believe in me through their word, that they may all be one. John 17, verse 20 to 21. Why can't we all be one? One love. Bob Marley talks about one love. His great-granddaughter talks about one love. His great-grandson talks about one love, that one love is not just a phrase that's been appropriated, but it's about a common humanity. That's what it is. We share a common humanity. So I'm going to love you even though you're a hoe and, had an affair with my husband, for example. I'm still going to love you because we share a common humanity, even the prostitutes and the ones out here were all, they were saved because they did the right thing. They erred on the side of righteousness. They weren't messy, and they were saved. Jesus, there's a story of the prostitute who, the soldiers were coming in, I believe, and looking for Jesus. And they came in and the prostitute was like, he ain't here. Bye. Like, he ain't here. Bye. And when the soldiers left, Jesus was like, even you will be saved in the time because you erred on that side. You were part of that, prophetic story to show how even those who may be fornicating and doing these things, they still have a chance to be forgiven. Psalm 32, blessed are the forgiven when you confess, when you communicate, this is what you've done. You know what I mean? So John chapter 17, verse 20 to 21, John is speaking that, I ask not only on behalf of these, like I'm not asking just for these ones that don't believe, but also on behalf of those who will believe in the future, in righteousness, believe in that goodness and mercy and love. They believe in righteousness, period. They believe in doing good, period. And that belief is through that Christ, through the one you call Jesus, folks. And you're hating your brother, you're hating your sister, you're talking about that one in church, you're talking about that other one, don't go to church, you're talking about this one, and then you're talking, calling Jesus' name all throughout it. And this is what John is speaking of here. That it's not just on behalf of those that don't be, but also on those who will believe in the future of righteousness that is going to cover the earth as the water cover the sea. And how are they going to believe it? Through the word, through their word. I tell folks that's all I have is my word. I may have $1 million. I may have 2.5 million. I may have 27 million sitting in an account. But if I don't have my word, I have nothing. I have nothing. I'm poor. People don't realize how rich they are because they have the ability to communicate their words. And their words are power. The intention behind the word and the word that has a sound and vibrates throughout creation has power. So John is saying, so we can all be one in the word, in righteousness, in mercy and goodness. So when we speak to each other, blessed greetings, blessed love, I love you, how are you, have a blessed day. This is what we have to be in oneness with as humans within a common humanity. We need this in order to survive the next season that's coming. And it's coming, believe you that. You see the elections happening and all this stuff, and they're creating wars and rumors of wars. This is what's written that's going to happen. And people are not looking at this. They're into playing Fortnite. They're into watching football. I don't mind you watching football, but guess what? Guess what? Don't be a slave to the TV. Don't be a slave to just being a passive participant in life and watching it go by. My partner wants to watch football. Okay. I'll cook, I'll make some snacks, we'll have people come over. It'll be a gathering, but we will begin with a psalm. We're going to begin chanting a word as, gathering together. We're going to bless the food before, and then let the games begin. Let the games begin. I'll be in my office, grading papers or whatever, or reading a book or something, or curled up on the couch with my partner while they're watching the game, and I'm reading a book in their arms, something. So being one is accepting of each other. So that's why I said that story. Some people may say, oh, she goes on into other things, but I'm speaking of that because this oneness is important. Even though I may not like something, I can still participate. I can still support. But I don't like, football because of the violence and the concussions that are happening and all that, and it draws a lot of money, so that's why they could pay the players $60 million, Prescott for one, the highest paid person in running around the football field. When people are suffering and people are homeless, and this, and I'm not speaking that that's anybody's fault who's making all that money. I'm not saying that's their fault, because when I get in that position, I am going to be able to bless other people. A million for you, a million for you. That is to bring other people's lives, and show them that they can come out of poverty, that they can do that. But a lot of football players who make all that money, they should divvy out money to families. There's a little squirrel. To families, with 5 or more children. If you got 5 or more children, or 3 or more children, you should get, a $20,000 a year stipend, and this is given to you in your local community. You get that. And that 20,000 can help you, pay off your credit. It can help you do this. It can help you do that. And that's what needs to be done. This $500 that FEMA gave to Virgin Islanders after 2 Category 5 hurricanes was shameless. Okay? It was shameful. And now they want to give $700. What? You give people $5,000. Give them $10,000. They've been through and lost all their homes. I mean, come on. But they're diverting that money to do other things. And that's what happens within governments. They do that all the time. And now they want to say, no, we don't do that. He's lying. So who's lying? I don't know the truth from the lie in this world anymore. So that's why we chant the psalm. And the psalm today, 32, beautiful psalm. Blessed is the forgiving. Yeah, Nubian Queen, 500 a person FEMA gave to Virgin Islanders after 2 Category 5 hurricanes. Like, really? Really now? Yeah, North Carolina game was $750, so it went up. Hurricane Irma and Maria was in what, 2017? So that was 2017. We're in 2024. They went up only like $250. Like, so FEMA needs to be looked at. But when we look at the word today, belong, how is it? Do you feel you belong, and where do you belong? That was the question. So I wanted to look at the verse today, y'all, because the verse today is from Jeremiah. And Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. My second son had a naming ceremony. My first son had a baptism in the church, in the Lutheran church where I attend, where I grew up attending, and where I got married to his dad. So that particular baptism happened at the church, and when he was a baby. And then they were sanctified in the fire with the Nyabinge. They were sanctified with the fire when they were, I believe, little, like under 10. And then my second son was born. And after he was born, he was, sanctified in the fire, but he also had a naming ceremony on the island of St. John. And the naming ceremony, one of the names he got was Jeremiah. And Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11 popped up as the verse of the day. And it speaks, for I know the plans I have for you. Because remember I said, righteousness is not going to hurt you or, harm you. Righteousness and compassion, all of these attributes of God is there to help you, is to give you strength. So this is what Jeremiah is talking about, that God declares, and God quotes. It's in quotation. Jeremiah is saying, this is what God said. I know the plans I have for you. And Jeremiah says, God says plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future. So when you are going through long suffering, know that all things are working together for your good. That's where this comes in. This is Jeremiah. Romans 8:28 talks about that too. And I remember that because not because I'm a scholar of the scripture. I'm not a scholar of the scripture, but I remember that because when my dad passed, that was one of the scriptures that was shared with by a friend, a pastor, and that scripture was shared, and it stuck with me. So Romans 8:28, all things are working together for your good, reminds me of Jeremiah 29:11, that these plans that righteousness has for you is to prosper you. To prosper you. So you're going to have a house. There's many mansions in the Most High's house. You're going to have one. Upstairs, downstairs, a pool in the backyard, however it's going to be. And people are going to see that. They're going to see what they've done to you and how you've prospered. So that prospering that God has for you, that righteousness has, is not to harm you. So all the prospering you're going to have, like I told my son, you're going to wake up, you're going to say, which car should I take today? Because you're going to have prosperity. You're going to have abundance in goodness. But it's not going to hurt you. All the things of this world will not hurt you that you're going to receive in that prosperity. And the plans that is going to be given to you for your future so that you are well taken care of. Okay. However, you have to err on that side of righteousness. Goodness, mercy, love, kindness is where you need to be. And when we look at Psalm, the word today belong, that's where we need to belong. We need to know we belong in the family of that righteousness. That's where we belong. And in that, we have an advocate, because we, as according to John 17, verse 20 to 21, ask not only on behalf of the ones that believe, but also on behalf of those who will believe in righteousness in the future. That's the next generation. Okay. And they're going to believe in that through their word. Through their word, that their oneness may happen, that we may all be one. So, Selah and Selah again. I love the verse of the day from Jeremiah 29:11. Righteousness knows the plans that is there for you. So trust and believe you're going to be okay. You may be hurting now. You may be, grieving now. You may be, your heart is broken, but guess who heals a broken heart? That's that righteousness. That's that good love. That's that higher love. That's that love no one can attain on this earth with each other. They have to get it through that higher love. That's the Most High. That is within you. That's within you. You're not going to find it outside of you. It's within you. So thank you so much for joining. My tea is actually cold. So I put them together. This is how it looks. Beautiful teapot. And that's the cup. Isn't that cute? Yeah. And this is the bowl that it's on there. So I love it. I'm going to go walk my dog. We're going to, we need to look at Max Lucado. We got to look at Max Lucado. Don't go, we're at 120. 120. Let's look at Max Lucado for today. Max Lucado for today is talking about being angry. And how righteousness is angry because wrongness is so prevalent out here. So there's this title, it's called Jesus, and it says angry with a question mark. And it's looking at Matthew chapter 11, verse 20. And Max Lucado has a comment about it. So let's read what Matthew 11:20 says. Matthew 11:20 says, then Jesus criticized the cities where he did most of his miracles because the people did not change their lives and stop sinning. So there was a criticism of what's going on, okay? I criticize what's going on out here in the world too, right? We got children behind violent video games, and then they go out and shoot up schools. Not all of them, but some do. So we know Jesus criticized. Jesus was a radical. He was a revolutionary, right? And Matthew describes it as this action of miracles and healing. And the reason for these miracles and healing is because the need for people to change was coming up. And we have to seek for righteousness while it's near, according to Psalm 32. Offer communication to righteousness at a time now when you may find it. It's there for the taking. Look it up. So Max Lucado says, Jesus, angry, his fists clenched and his eyebrows furrowed, his face getting red, his veins bulging in his neck, and he's angry. He demands that the people repent. And that's all Max Lucado comments about. He leaves it like that. Like Jesus is pissed. Jesus is pissed off at what's going on in the world and how people are treating people. Jesus is pissed. So for October 13th, we see Jesus Christ is God's everything for everyone's total need. So that's all you need, right? That's all you need. We're in the book of Mark. However, Max Lucado's Walking with the Savior for today, October 13th, looked at Matthew 11, verse 20. And Matthew 11, verse 20 talks about how Jesus criticized the places where he was healing folks because they didn't change their behavior. They didn't stop the violence. They didn't stop sinning. They didn't stop, betraying each other. They didn't stop. So when we look at that, and then we look at the this Daily Walk Bible for October 13th, Mark wrote 7 chapters covering the first 3 years of Jesus's active ministry and 3 chapters describing the next 6 months. Now devotes 6 chapters, about 40% of his book, to the final 8 days. So throughout this last week, Jesus' activities revolve around the temple as Jesus confronts the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders with with his irrefutable claims. So Jesus is going up against the powers and the principalities of the world at that time. Through the adoring cries of Hosanna, announced his arrival in Jerusalem. So they were calling Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. And then later on, they cried, crucify him, right? Only a few days later, he will hear the frenzied cry, crucify him. Jesus is now taking his final steps toward the cross. So he knew, let me tell them the truth, because guess what? It's going to set it off. It's about to set it off. So Mark draws on that vital material to show the significance of events during Christ's final days on earth. So put yourself in the sandals of a first century inhabitant. See whether you can walk your way through today's section by reading these Old Testament passages in sequence. So they're telling us to read Psalm 118, 25 to 26, Isaiah 56 to 7, Jeremiah 7, 11, Psalm 118 again, 22 to 23, Exodus 3, 6, Deuteronomy 6, 4 to 5, Leviticus 19, verse 18, Psalm 110, verse 1, Daniel 9 to 7. 9 to 7 is my number. I got to stop here. And Daniel 11:31, Daniel 12:11, Isaiah 13:10. So Daniel 9:27 9:27 talks about he will confirm a covenant with many for 1:7. In the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering, and at the temple he will set up an abomination that causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. So this is the 70 signs. This is the book of Daniel 9:27. So it talks about the word. It talks about the word going out to restore and rebuild until the anointed one, the ruler, comes. There will be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. It will be rebuilt with streets and a trench, but in times of trouble. And the 62 sevens, the anointed one will be put to death and will have nothing. So this putting to death is foreshadowing Jesus's, crucifixion. The people of the ruler will come and will destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end will come as a flood. War will continue until the end, and desolations have been decreed. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1:7. In the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. So there will be no more sacrifice and offering. And at the temple, he will set up an abomination that causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. So Daniel is, fasting, and he's getting these visions. Okay. Daniel is, saying, don't be afraid. God is telling Daniel, don't be afraid. So you want to look at individuals in the scriptures who conquered and who were strong and who didn't even know it. Daniel didn't even know it. So for October 13th, we're looking at the book of Mark, the request of James and John. Blind receive sight, Jesus coming to Jerusalem as a king, the fig trees, the authority of Jesus is questioned, the parable of the tenants, the marriage and the marriage at the resurrection, the greatest commandment is to love. The Son is the Messiah, warning against teachers of the law, the widow's offering, and the destruction of the temple, and sign of the end times. So, sign of the end times, brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. Everyone will hate you because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. So, you're going to be saved, those who are enduring to the end. And enduring means long suffering. You're having compassion on those who hate you. You're sending love to those who want to curse you. This is what enduring means. Okay, this is what enduring means. So we are at the end now. We are at an hour and 32 minutes. Thank you so much for joining, those of you who came on. But Selah and Selah again, as we outro with the psalm today. I wanted to let everyone know that you need to stand in love and endure. So thank you for the daily dose of spiritual growth. I appreciate you coming on and listening and being part of this. This is good. This is really a powerful experience. Have a blessed day, everyone, and remember, Chant A Psalm A day. Have a blessed day. I love my little Have a blessed day, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. I'm glad that you were here. Remember that you belong to a human family. Remember that you are forgiven. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Have a blessed day. Take good care.